Welcome to the Oxford NC Exchange, a podcast dedicated to providing Oxford media for Oxford, North Carolina. In this episode, Adam and Alan interview Mandy Harris, proprietor of Oxford's own Angel Wings Bookstore.
Watching us there on the YouTube. My name is Adam Light. This is
Alan Kennecke.
And today's guest we have
Mandy Harris.
And we are here talking about this wonderful place called Angel Wings Bookstore, folks. We have a few questions for Mandy, and we'll get going. Alan, anything you want to say before we start talking to our guest here, Mandy?
I just have one thing to say, that I am so grateful that there is a local bookstore here in Oxford that you can actually walk into, and you can actually touch the books, you can pick them up, you can look at them and thumb through. Something that in the era of the big behemoth that we kind of handed over, and I don't think we're as good of readers if we're buying things virtually like that. To get a good book, you got to go into a bookshop.
Yes.
Take it from me. Actually, don't take it from me. I'm not saying that I'm, speaking from Mount Sinai. All I would say is that, come into this place and thumb through the books and remember what it was like, back in the day when you used to pick up a book, look at it, get interested in it, lose yourself in the book and all sense of time, and you'll remember and experience just something that was so delightful in the world. So glad that it's back.
Yeah, that reminds me, there was a wonderful time period in my life where I would hang out with a friend of mine on Friday afternoons. We'd grab a bite in Wilmington. Then we'd go to the not-so-local bookstore, Barnes & Noble. But we'd have that physical moment. We'd have the smell. You'd look through them. You see how many exact pages there were to get to the end or to get to that exact spot where you left off last time. And it was a wonderful moment. And, to have the physical thing. And I've enjoyed reading things on digital formats as well, but the physical thing is awesome, I guess. Anything else you want to add, Alan, before we get going?
I think we should start asking Mandy questions.
Exactly. Mandy, yes. Who are you and what brings you to Oxford?
My name is Mandy Harris. I am a former teacher, and I am a mom of two boys that keep my life crazy. We started Angel Wings Bookstore in 2019, and when we did that, we wanted a place where our boys and my former students could go and find books that actually they enjoyed. So one of my things is I love to recommend books to people. They can give me some of their favorite ones that they've read, and then I can give them a suggestion that they would like. I've only gotten it wrong like one or two times, which is saying a lot over this many years, but I love it. I have actually lived in Granville County for 17 years. I was born and raised in Durham. I was right on Falls Lake on Cheek Road. And so I was never really far from Granville County. I actually had family who lived in Creedmoor. And so when I moved out on my own, I decided to come up this way, out of Durham County, and I've enjoyed it ever since.
Great. You said former students in there, I believe. Were you once a teacher or something?
I was. I was a teacher for about 8 or 9 years. I taught in the private sector and then also in the charter school system.
Very cool. What's your absolute favorite thing to do in Oxford?
I have to say I really enjoy quitting time.
Nice.
It's nice to be able to walk around with friends and everything and be able to hit the different restaurants and the different places and be able to enjoy it.
What is the best thing that's ever happened to you in Oxford by chance?
I will have to say the way my book club has grown and the people and friends who have that has brought into my life. We have become stronger. We have been able to do more things, and we're always there for each other, no matter what we're going through.
Right. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't I hear you guys went on a trip like towards near the Asheville area recently?
We did.
How was that?
It was awesome. Back in March, we had our first annual book club retreat, and we rented a house in Asheville, and we all went there. The theme was The Princess Bride. So we read the book and then watched the movie while we were there. It was a bunch of girls. I think it was about 15 or 16 of us in one house, and we really enjoyed it. It was a great time. It was enough time for us to just get away from our everyday lives and be able to just be women for a change. So
We're going to have a guys getaway. Yeah. We have to figure out what book we want to read, where we want to go, like the Dune getaway.
Oh, yeah.
That would be
That-
great.
that would be-
You
that
read
would
the
be
book,
good.
you
We
watch
should go
the
to the
movie.
desert. And
Yes, exactly.
That'd be awesome.
Okay, Mandy. What is it about books that gets you?
I love books. I've been reading ever since I was little. Both of my grannies, my Granny Blake and my Granny Lovett, instilled learning in me young, very young. I was probably reading books inappropriate for my age before I was supposed to. And I actually taught one of my cousins to read by himself. And that's something that has always stayed with me and something I've enjoyed more than anything in the world. And it's an escape from reality. So if I have anything going on that just is a hard time or gets me aggravated or gets me depressed or upset, I'm able to read and go away and not have to deal with that, which is really nice.
Say more about that. Reading as a regulator of the soul.
It's something that it can take away all the bad feelings. If you have the right book and it's a book or a genre that you enjoy, it takes away everything that's bad in your mind or your heart or anything, and you're able to enjoy it as it is and not worry about anything else.
Books as therapy.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true.
That sounds a whole lot more interesting than taking pills.
It does.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, and much more enjoyable.
Right. Is it fun to overindulge sometimes with books too? And so is it almost like when you go without a book for a week or a day? Do you miss that book or that time you have with the reading material? I guess.
I do.
Yeah. Wow.
I do. I can tell it's funny. I never used to notice this, but when I opened the bookstore and when I started reading a lot more, I realized that when I go a week or so without reading, I get agitated and I get upset more. And when I'm in the books and reading constantly, I don't get that way.
Wow. I think I need to start reading more, Alan.
Yes, we all do.
Okay. I think for me it's movies and other kinds of consumption, but yeah.
Okay, confessional time.
Yeah.
How many books are sitting next to your bed, waiting to be read?
Okay, well, so let's see. Are we talking about the nightstand, or the nightstand and the dresser, or the nightstand, dresser, and the dog cage? Which one?
All of them. All of them. This is a confessional. Let it all out.
On my nightstand, I have at least 2 to 3 books.
Yeah.
On my dog cage that's in my room too, I have a square storage box that is filled with books on books. So I don't know exactly what it is, but they're all lined up and then lined up on the second row too.
Right.
So.
Right.
And
What about you, Adam?
Me personally?
Yes.
I have one book. I guess I need to first count the books I have from friends I am supposed to read at some point. So those are 3 books right now. I have the book from our book club. So it's
Right.
and then have the book I really want to get to eventually too. Also called that I got from Andy actually here, called Project Hail Mary, from the same guy that wrote The Martian. So at least 5, maybe 6. And then I have plenty more. I have one book. What do you call them? Book cabinet. What are those things called?
Bookshelves.
Bookshelf. I think bookshelf. Wow, there goes my mind. One bookshelf is like books I mostly have already read, and then one bookshelf is mostly books I have yet to read. So quite a number, but a lot of them are classics. You and I talked about the Russian literature, all that kind of stuff too. So.
And I don't know about y'all, but my TBR list keeps getting longer and longer every day.
I'm sorry. What is TBR?
TBR is to be read.
To be read.
Oh,
To be
wow.
read, yes.
So it's a to be read list.
Yes.
I'm such a noob, I guess, in this whole reading thing.
Yeah.
Alan, how about yourself? How many you got ready to read?
I've got a stack in the office at the church.
Yeah.
I've got a stack in one room in the house, and I've got a stack in another room in the house.
Yeah, it happens, all right.
Yes. And they're not small stacks.
I guess it's like Pringles, right, Mandy? Once you open one book, you can't stop.
That's
kind of thing?
exactly right. Now, how many have y'all read this year?
Oh, you mean all the way through?
Mm-hmm. For this year, do you keep
Like-
track?
Alan, you go ahead.
I would say I've read probably about 25.
Oh,
wow,
awesome.
jeez.
Yeah.
I'm nowhere
But then
near that.
again, it's kind of goes with the territory with what I do.
Yeah.
Now
How about you?
I
Mandy?
would say I've started and begun 25.
Yeah.
There's probably about 100 that I've started, so that means 75 that are still waiting out there.
I've started about 10, have completed probably about 2.
Do y'all set a goal for yourself each year?
No, I don't do that.
No.
Okay.
And honestly, I mostly read nonfiction, so I mostly just read for my own personal, like, selfish consumption. So it's like, when I get whatever I want to get out of it, I would just put it down. But when it comes to fiction, yeah, I try to finish them. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Mandy? How many of you finished or started
Well, I have actually read 47 books.
this year?
Yes.
Wow.
Man.
My goal was
Whoa.
60. But you've got to realize I have a lot of advanced reader copies that come in that I have to read and review and get back to publishers.
Right,
So
yeah.
I have to get those out pretty quick too. So
Yeah. Wow.
Really weird.
Well, I guess
We
we're
have been
I guess
left behind.
we are taking your reading time away then. Aren't we?
Yeah. Real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Interesting anecdote that I just came into my mind because I read it this week. The late great Umberto Eco,
Yeah.
wrote, was it The Name of the Rose?
And then something
Yes. And philosopher, and Foucault's Pendulum. He had 50,000 books. And, people said, "Did you read them all?" And he said, "Oh, by no means." He says, it's kind of like food that you might try a little bit of this and then some of that, and you may go back to it later. But he said the entire reading experience was enhanced by having all this other stuff around, that
Right.
he dabbled in and maybe read a page or 3 chapters, went to one particular section of the book that he needed for another book that he was writing. If he could let himself buy 50,000 books, I can give myself permission to buy more books than I have right now.
Interesting. So why did you choose the name Angel Wings Bookstore, and why the color palette and the logo and everything, Mandy?
Okay, so I chose Angel Wings Bookstore because for 2 reasons really. I'm actually a Meredith College graduate,
Okay.
and our mascot was the angel. Another reason was that one of my grandmas who started me in reading, Granny Blake, she actually ended up passing away from Alzheimer's. And so I decided to add that, and it was actually before she passed, but because I knew that with the Alzheimer's that took her mind, that she was already gone. But I named it after her and my other granny, who I hope will be here for a while longer.
Very cool. Go ahead.
And the purple is actually my favorite color.
Oh, nice.
And so that's why I went with the purple.
And just curious, is there the book that's right there? Is that a book that's actually? Is it a book being referenced by chance, or
It is not.
it's just a random kind of?
And it's why I did that, because it could mean something to somebody else.
Right. It can mean something. Very cool. So is this by chance a micro bookstore? And then if so, what is a micro bookstore, and what is its advantages and disadvantages of having something like that?
This is a micro bookstore. This was not the original plan, but
Okay.
we were so excited that Mara at Tobacco Wood Brewing actually opened up her doors and let us come in and set up a micro bookstore. A micro bookstore is anything that is selling books that in a space smaller than 500 square feet.
Okay.
So there's advantages and disadvantages, because there's times where people come in and I might not have a certain book that they're looking for. That doesn't mean I can't get it, but it means that I don't have it on the shelf. So
Right.
that's one of the disadvantages. The advantages are that people love coming in and see how cozy it is.
Yeah. Very cool. Do you have any? Do you have a book club here, or book clubs? And if so, what kind of books and what kind of clubs and everything?
I do, actually. We started one, I want to say it was in 2021 or 2022. We started the Angel Wings Book Club. When we started, we had 7 people on roll. Now we have over 30. Now, all of those people don't come every meeting, and that's completely fine because it needs to fit your schedule and what you can do. But usually our events that we hold, we do murder mysteries, we do fun themed ones, themed book clubs, and they're so much fun. We have just recently started a spicy book club.
Ooh. Is it because of the hot peppers?
We'll go with that.
Okay. You got to read the book.
Yes.
You just got to taste and see.
But we've had one meeting, and it was absolutely amazing. We had so much fun laughing, and it was amazing.
I think I was here. Was it a quitting time? I heard a bunch of laughter and enjoyment. And I was told more than once, don't come here with what we're talking about right now. I was like, it must be some crazy habaneros or something.
It was so much fun. It was during quitting time. I tried to make it later so that everybody could make their rounds to everything first before they came.
Right.
But it was so funny that we had so much fun talking over everybody because we were laughing so hard that we had to use one of the stands that Tobacco Wood uses for the numbers for the thing and pass it around so everybody could talk.
It's like a talking stick kind of
Yes,
thing?
that's exactly what it was.
That's wild.
What do you think? Book clubs have become a big thing.
They have.
Why do you think they've become big?
Because you're able to get with people who enjoy doing something that you enjoy doing, but they could be completely different than you. There are so many different personalities and people in our group, but we're all there for each other, and we know that we're all there for each other.
And do you think any of this is in response to us being kind of more isolated during COVID? And now that we have a chance to kind of be out more, whereas before COVID, maybe it was like, maybe I'll go, maybe I won't go. But now it's like, I got to get out and be socialized a little bit more than I did prior to COVID and everything.
I do. I think it has a lot to do with COVID because with COVID, we were isolated. We didn't have our relationships that meant so much to us. Now that we're out, we're living it up and loving the relationships that we have and nurturing those in any way that we possibly can.
You mentioned that the book club is a space where you can have diversity of personality, belief, opinion, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And have those differences not be ones that make people separate from one another, but that their differences are able to be together in the same space. What do you think that is? Do you think it's just, okay, we're all focused around, okay, here's the author, here's the story?
We're able to complement each other. I think the respect that we have grew in our book club, we're able to honor another person's opinions.
Right.
We might not believe them, but we're going to honor their opinions and respect it.
Right.
And everybody has a different way of looking at things. And to hear somebody else, you might be able to see that differently than what you thought of before.
Right, right. It just strikes me how there's so many things, whether it's politics, it's like, oh, you're going to vote for that person, you're stupid. Or, oh, you believe this about the hot button issue, you're stupid. You root for who, you're stupid. But with a book, we don't really, say, oh, you like that book? Oh, there's something wrong with you.
Right.
We grant ourselves difference because we bring ourselves into whatever we're reading, and we may like it, we might find it slow going, we might change our mind about it, but we don't repel one another because we have differences of book experience.
And a lot of the times that somebody says a comment, you can say, well, how did you get to that conclusion?
Yeah.
And it makes you ask questions and it makes you see it from their point of view.
You had mentioned earlier about, okay, having the book, being able to, okay, step out of whatever we're feeling, whatever we might be working through, and the book to be something of a safe space, or an imaginary space where we're in somebody else's story here, and now it seems like you're saying that the book club can be a safe space for a group of people that, if it was politics, they may not get together.
It is. It's a safe place for anybody who wants to come. We welcome everybody with open arms.
Sounds like a good idea.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Do you by chance have a story time for kids? And if so, what is the age range?
I do. We do story time for kids on Saturdays. I know the library does them usually on Wednesdays, so I decided to do one for the kids that were in school on Saturday mornings at 11. What we do is I'll either pick a book, or if it's a smaller group of kids, I'll let them pick a book. I try to do, because of the teacher coming out in me, I try to do a lesson with each book kind of thing. But the age ranges, I don't care. If you bring a 3-month-old, I'm completely fine with that. If there is a 13 or 14-year-old that wants to come and sit and read, I am completely fine with that too.
Is there a particular genre of literature that captures your fancy beyond others?
I read a little bit of everything, so it's hard to pick, but I have to say that historical fiction and romantasy are two of the two ones that I absolutely love.
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with. Is it romantasy? Is that romantic and fantasy? Maybe
It is. It's
okay.
a new.
Romantices.
It's a new genre that is fairly new, but it does. It's amazing.
Say more about this. Romantices. I've never heard of such a thing.
Okay, so it's a romance set in fantasy. So it
Okay.
can be anywhere from vampires, werewolves, magic, like Harry Potter kind of thing. It could
Right.
be anything. So it's branched out into its own because there's been so many that have come out as that.
Would an example of that be what was the name of the book you said you guys did for the retreat?
The Princess Bride.
Yeah, because I know the movie, it's kind of that. It's a romantic, but also set in a fantasy kind of
Yes.
time period.
Now,
land.
I see The Princess Bride as a classic, but that's just me.
Sure.
But yes, it would fall kind of into that too.
In the modern grouping of things now. Yeah, okay.
Exactly. Yes.
What about something like Twilight series? Is that ish, or is that more young adult? I guess. Or?
That's more in the young adult realm,
Okay.
but young adult has romantasies as well.
Okay.
Too, so.
Cool.
I'm going to be on the lookout for that. Romantices.
Very, very selfishly, are there any post-apocalyptic romantices?
There is actually.
We'll have to talk later.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Have you ever hosted any guest authors? If so, were there any local authors by chance?
I have. That is something that I'm really passionate about. I've done it at the Hot Sauce Festival. I've had ones come just to set up and sign books, or for story time reading, they'll come. I actually, back at the end of April 27th, was a big day for independent bookstores. It was Independent Bookstore Day. And what that is it's a celebration of independent bookstores and what we offer our communities. But in a way, it's our way to give back to our customers, in a way to show them how much we appreciate them. On that day, I was able to have 4 different authors here that ranged from Oxford to STEM to Hillsborough to Wake Forest. And that was a fun. I wasn't able to be here that day due to personal reasons, but my book club stepped up and they ran the whole thing for me, and it was amazing.
Very cool. What is the best way to order books through Angel Wings Bookstore? Do you sell any other items besides books? Like book? Apparently, you have nice pens, or other little things there. And also, what about used books? Can people bring them to you, or do you sell them as well, or how does that work?
Okay, so the best way to order from me is if you cannot make it into the store itself. I do have a website. It's www.angelwingsbookstore.com. And you can place your order right through there. It has every book that you can possibly imagine on my website. And you can actually, there's a search bar that you can type in either your author or your title of your book, or you can browse by category, either way. In our store,
type in romantices.
in our store, where we do bookmarks, we do candles that are literally literary candles or related to them. We have stuffies for little kids that might want something.
What are stuffies?
Stuffies are stuffed animals. We actually sell squishables, which is amazing. They're the coolest little things, and they come in different animals or different foods, like they're comfort foods. I have one back there right now that's a happy birthday cake, and they feel good when you squeeze them. They're comfort.
And are literary candles, how are they different than other candles, I guess?
So they're based on if you read a book, usually the author is trying to tell you how a person smells or how an event smells or something. And so what these people do is they go and make these candles based off of what the author says that these characters smell like.
Oh, what an incredible experience.
Mm-hmm. It's really cool.
I know this is a strange anecdote maybe, but you guys remember the show Family Matters with Steve Urkel?
Yes.
Yeah.
There was a product they had on this, obviously it's made up, where you could scan it, and it would send you the smell on the TV. And for some reason, this is automatically. I'm very much of a movie and TV person, so this is what I get transported to. I think it's a great idea.
They call it
really cool.
odorama.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow! I'm learning so much.
It's been around for like 30 or 40 years.
It
Wow.
is.
Yeah.
And I've actually got some candles from Wicks for Wags, which is from Raleigh.
Oh.
So they're locally made, and all the a certain amount of the proceeds goes to animal rescues within the state of North Carolina.
And you also have some herbal teas, is that correct?
I do. So I haven't been able to go into the herbal teas as much as I want to.
Right.
But when we find our forever home, hopefully we will be able to do that.
Awesome.
I'm planning on doing a whole tea service with the teapots, teacups, and everything. I'm actually having a shipment of tea in tins come to sell within the bookstore as well.
Is there a possibility that there could be tea made in your permanent home?
Yes.
Somebody come in and just say, hey, I'd like some tea.
That is what I will be doing.
Sit down with the book.
Right.
You will be able to pick the flavor of tea that you would like to be put in, and then I will fix it in a teapot and bring it to you.
Yeah.
What a great experience.
That is awesome.
Well, is there a tagline or slogan for Angel Wings Bookstore?
It is.
And what is it, and what's the meaning behind it and everything?
So it's imagine with all your mind and believe with all your heart.
Oh, wow.
So
Say it again. Imagine with all your mind.
imagine with all your mind and believe with all your heart.
And what does that mean exactly?
So for me, it was something that I needed to relate to books so that people would understand what books can hold them. There's a lot of people that still don't read.
Oh, yeah.
And so and it's important to find the right book. If you find the right book, you'll be a reader for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And so books allow us to imagine things that in normal life are not achievable or might not be achievable. And then believing with all your heart is something that I've just always believed in. For several years, the word believe has been my word of the year. And I know you're supposed to change it every year, but I have not been able to find another word that I like as much as believe.
Yeah.
Would you mind saying a little bit more about this practice of having a word of the year? I don't.
Yes.
Not familiar with this.
So every year, you can choose. There's
Yeah.
lists of words that can mean something to you. There's lists of words that you can find on Pinterest or
Right.
anything like that.
The watchword.
Yes. So it's a word that you want to live by for that year. And like I said, even this year, I tried to look for a different word, but for some reason, believe stuck out to me again. And it's
Okay.
one that just speaks to you, and that's what you stick with.
Ted Lasso is a big fan of the word believe.
There
yes.
you go.
Oh.
So we've talked about some of the favorite genres and subgenres and everything. Do you specialize in any kind of genre here in general? Or is it just you try to cater to local things, whatever people might need or want? Or what if we go into the bookstore behind us, what are we going to see? And what's the range of things we're going to see?
So if you walk into the bookstore, you're going to see a little bit of everything. I try to speak to all different kinds of genres and of what people would be interested to read. I do specialize in children's books and North Carolina authors,
Nice.
That's one thing that I want to promote above all is children's books, because once you get the children reading, then the parents have to read to them or either get reading themselves as well.
Right.
And the local authors, I feel like there's so many good local authors and North Carolina authors, wider net, that are fantastic but don't get enough screen time or
Right.
notice that they should get.
And within here, are they organized all alphabetically by Dewey Decimal, or by certain genres and subgenres, or by certain where they originated, by their ISBN number? How is it all?
I will tell you, I hate the Dewey Decimal. But
Library of Congress fans?
Yes, we're Library of Congress here in Oxford, North Carolina.
But I will tell you what I have it in is I have it broken up into adult fiction,
Okay.
North Carolina authors, children's picture books, children middle grade, young adult, and then I have a used book section. Now, with that, people can come and drop off books. Now, right now, I don't have that big of an area,
Right.
but hopefully I will soon, and we'll be able to take some. And there's a wide range of those as well. Hopefully, when I move into the for my forever home, I'll be able to go a little bit more into the genres
Right.
than what I've put the broader net.
What?
I was just curious, given that we're a world that is so used to screens, and we're so used to, the habits of the technology that we have, how do you think how can people get interested in books again?
Turning the screens off.
Okay, but I get that. But what do you think would be the strategy to say, okay, here, turn that thing off and open this thing up?
They need to find a book that speaks to them. That will be the thing that initiates everything else. Once they find that book that is made for them, they will be able to continue that reading.
Man, you talked about this earlier. Was there a book that spoke to you in that way? Was there almost a gateway book, or like a book that said, "Wow, now my reading life has been changed forever because I've read this book"? Was there a moment like that for you in your life?
There was, and I didn't realize it until I looked back in my life.
Wow.
But it was The Secret Garden,
Oh wow. Yeah.
which is actually, if we do find a place, that we were going to make the kids' area look like The Secret Garden.
Oh, and it was gonna be hidden, right?
I wish. I can't do magic, though.
That's a good one.
Anecdote. I was at university, living in an apartment, was in the apartment next door, and I was just sitting on the couch watching TV, and one of the residents of the apartment, these two twin girls, one of them walked in, saw me watching TV, and she said to me, "Alan, that is disgusting." And I said, "What?" And she said, "You're watching TV." I said, "What's the matter with watching TV?" And she turned off the TV and she handed me a book. She said, "Here, read this." It was C.S. Lewis's The Great Divorce.
Oh wow.
Oh,
And I started reading it, and I read it in a day. And I went from being a non-book reading college student to somebody who, I'm reading books every single day of my life now. And it was just somebody saying, there's something better you can be doing than watching TV. Watching TV or watching the monitor, you're handing your imagination over to somebody else. You read a book, and the world is as you think it is. You're getting the characters from somebody else, but man, there's so many details that in a story that the reader gets entrusted with, and a book becomes so much our own, so much more our own than a TV show or a movie ever can. I'm living proof.
There you go. Excuse me. Is there a set of books or one book in particular, Mandy, you're like, I'm just going to keep putting that off there? That's like, I know we kind of talk about, what's on your bed set, but is there like a trilogy or a set of books or a series you're like, one day I'm going to get to, I know for me it's James Joyce, not James, James Joyce's Finnegan's Wake. I've tried to read it several times. It's very dense, a lot of words that are completely new to that book, and it's a hard book to get around. But it's my goal. It's my end of the. By the time I'm finished with this world, I want to read that book and said I've read it. So, is there a book anywhere for you like that?
There is, which is gonna be bad saying this, but
Okay.
in school or in college at Meredith, we were required to memorize the certain number of lines of the Canterbury Tales.
Right.
I never read the entire book, and I don't think I ever will. Because memorizing those lines in Old English was by far the hardest and most thing I had to do.
The way to get over book trauma
Yeah.
is to read books for pleasure.
Yes.
And you're talking about your book and the Secret Garden for you, and Alan, The Great Divorce for you. I'm not even sure if I've had that moment, because I like reading, but I'm almost all nonfiction for myself. I still don't read for pleasure, really, for fiction. I read a few fiction every now and then, but the closest I ever came was reading Life of Pi, and I read that like lickety split, and loved that book. But I still have never. I don't think I've never. It's not something I seek out. I am still a television junkie and movie screen time person overall.
Don't get me wrong. I love my TV shows and movies too.
Bravo. Mandy, if you were to write a book about your life, what would it be about, and what would the title be? I know for myself, I'll give you a moment to think about it. For me, it would be something like because I like wearing flip-flops so much, it would be called The Sun-Dried Flip-Flops, and all about all my journeys here, there, and otherwise in town and everywhere else in life. So, Alan, you had a thought? You have a name of your book by chance, or?
I had an
memoirs?
idea for a book, that I had, sketched out a narrative. I was like, this is going to be a great book. And then I realized that
How about guys?
I read Camus' The Plague, and he'd already written the book. Way better than I could.
Yes, it's funny. It's I think back because I grew up going camping at Myrtle Beach, and I never realized how much this part would be there. But I was with a friend, and we went to one of the little carnivals or whatever that they had down there at Myrtle Beach. There was a ride, and it was called Welcome to Chaos. And it was a roller coaster. Well, we got stuck on it, and it just kept saying over and over and over and over, welcome to the chaos, welcome to the chaos, welcome to the chaos. And I didn't think about that, but especially within the last few years, it's just been ups and downs. But I've learned to appreciate the ups more and live in those up times. It's hard, but I've been able to appreciate them more.
Right.
Excuse me for just jumping right back in.
That's all right. That's all right.
But so Mandy, I skipped over one I wanted to ask earlier, and that is, do you have like a desert island set of books, like 3 to 5, or even just 1 or 2 or 2 or 3, that says, you know what, like almost like The Secret Life was your turning point book. I'm sorry, not Secret Garden. Is there a book or set of books that says, you know what, if I was stranded on a desert island indefinitely or the rest of my life, I would have to have these set of books?
I'm a sucker for Pride and Prejudice.
Okay.
So that's one of them.
Mr. Darcy?
Yes, of course. But then I'm also a big fan of, which these are newer books, but the Outlander books.
Right. You were talking about that before we started the podcast.
Yes. I love those so much.
How many books are those right now? Or?
I think there's 10, or there's
Okay.
about to be 10, but I can't remember exactly. But those are one that would be a series.
That's a series, yeah.
And then another series that I absolutely love that have several of my friends that we've gotten in together that I read multiple times a year.
Wow.
Is Deborah Harkness's books of A Discovery of Witches, which is it's really interesting how she's written those, and I've actually been able to meet her, which was a fantastic experience. But there's 3 books in the original series, and she's done a couple of spin-offs of it as well. Her newest one is actually coming out next month in that series.
You know, we were just talking about books, you know, or how would you, a memoir, a book that would describe your life. Is there a certain character or a certain set of qualities you want? Now, almost like the kids ask, if I was a superhero, I don't want to have these, like, I want to fly or I want to be invisible. Is there a set of, like, things, a character that would describe Mandy? You know, like, it's like, I didn't know the pre-approved questions.
Yeah,
so.
it was not.
It was not. So if you get there, you know, nothing comes to mind. I know for myself, I've always wanted to be able to float. I want, like literally float in the air, like almost like fly, but just like float, just, you know, just float and hang out, you know, hanging out. We're all hanging out, groovy, whatever. But I don't know. I guess be stronger than I am, but both, you know, different levels. But you know, how about you, Alan? Any set of character traits you'd want to have in the character that is Alan?
Finish everything that I start.
Yes, I understand that. That's a good character quality trait.
That is. I am one that I would love to be invisible at times.
No, you want to be able to turn it on and off as you see fit, right?
I
like that, yeah.
I have. I suffer with anxiety, so
Right.
there's times where it gets to be a whole lot for me, and so there's times where I just would like to be invisible. And then
Harry Potter's invisibility clothing.
Yes, and I wouldn't mind being able to fly either.
Right.
But those are the 2 that I would
Very
say.
cool. So, speaking of let's finishing things that we started, Alan, anything else you want to add before we start getting our last few questions here?
I'm good.
Okay. Man, anything you want to throw in there before we started getting to our the home stretch there?
Well, just thank y'all for having me on. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you for letting us ask you these questions and see what all Angel Wings Bookstore is about and everything. Where do you see Angel Wings Bookstore in the next 3 to 5 years, and what is the store? Excuse me. What's in store for the store of the bookstore? Sorry.
I would love to be in possibly my own location.
Nice.
I love being here in the brewery.
Right.
And I love being able, so if Tobacco Wood is on that same wavelength, I would love to be able to put like a bookshelf or something in here so
Right.
people could still have that access
Yeah,
to.
because I'm sure. Do you think there's been many people that have been exposed to the bookstore that wouldn't have been otherwise?
I
exposed?
do.
Yes.
I do.
Yeah.
I think,
Sure.
it's been so great for both us
Right.
and Tobacco Wood. They've been bringing in people, and I've been bringing in people, and so
Nice.
they've been complimenting each other.
Books and beer.
Yes.
Books and beer.
Yes.
2 of the best things in life.
But I would love to be able to do my herbal teas like I really want to. I want my bookstore to be a place where people can come in and just sit and relax and not worry.
Right.
I want it to be a community place where kids can come have fun. It's not. I want everybody to be welcome.
Nice. That's a great want, and I hope that comes true and everything. How do you see Oxford changing? Oxford, North Carolina, where we're at right now, 27565. How do you see all this area changing in the next 5 years or so?
I only see this place getting bigger.
Right.
The growth that is coming into the city, the new houses that are being built, I only see more amazing things coming from Oxford, whether it's new stores or a more community feeling even as we get bigger. I would love for that to stay the same. But I feel that Oxford is only going to get bigger and better.
All right. So Mandy, where can people find you? Apparently you have a website. I didn't hear it earlier. Can you say it one more time? What was it again?
www.angelwingsbookstore.com.
Okay. And is it an email? Is that a good way to reach you?
Yes.
Too, or?
It has actually a place on there where you can contact me, but my email is mharris@angelwingsbookstore.com. And I can help in ordering the books. I can help in suggestions. I've actually just been graced with an opportunity from a book club that has their members all over the United States.
Very cool.
And so I've just sourced them with their first book.
So you've heard of all this new excitement about artificial intelligence, right?
Yes.
You're not AI. You're NI. You're natural intelligence.
Yes.
Yes.
And you can you can meet the person, get a sense of who they are, and tell them, recommend the books and what they may like and not like, right?
That's right. Anytime you come to the independent bookstore, you're going to get an individualized experience.
And for the moment, where are you located?
Right now, I'm in Tobacco Wood Brewery in the left corner.
Great. That's 117 Wall Street, Oxford, North Carolina, 27565, folks. Alan, anything else?
Are you all right if we say the telephone number for the company?
Yes, that's fine.
919-815-0122. Call and get your books.
Is there any last words or one word? Is there a favorite word of yours at all in your great expansive vocabulary, Mandy? You want to say?
Just that we're the only independent bookstore in Granville County and much of the surrounding counties as well.
Word up.
This is the place to be.
All right. Thank you, Mandy, very much. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Adam. Well, sorry.
I was going to say thank you, Mandy, as well.
Thank you,
And
Alan. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate it.
It's always great to talk about books. And here's to hoping that more and more people will find their way to your store.
Thank you.
Yay.
Grateful that you've opened it.
Word up.
We'll see you next time on the Oxford NC Exchange. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, folks.